As you know, I just finished a book. It took me 3 days to read this book. I could not put it down. It's called The White Gypsy. And what's intriguing about the book is that the way it's written, it starts off with this very wealthy family, and they're going to take a train ride. And as they take this train ride, there's a very large snowfall coming, and there's an avalanche, and the train gets stuck just before this tunnel. And they send a boy out to stop another train that's coming through the same direction before it gets there. And the boy is unable to reach the other train, and so there's a train wreck. And in the train wreck, many people die, and this one family, she had 2 little boys, and they find out that her 5-year-old little boy is dead.
Oh my goodness.
She doesn't know it though. But her husband comes and finds the boy, puts him on a blanket there in the snow. The snow is falling heavily, and he gets a doctor who's there as well, and he also determines that the child is dead. So the father realizes there's nothing else he can do for his child. He goes and tries to help other people who are in the train wreck. His wife has been, she's somewhat unconscious. He helps her being there. Little did they know, a gypsy woman was also on that train. She was kind of a stowaway. She had just escaped from prison, and she saw the dead child.
She found him. And
she wanted to sell his clothes. He had gold buttons and stuff. And so she sees the opportunity. She takes the child and runs off. She just takes him because she wants to sell the clothes.
Okay.
You know, but all of a sudden, as she's running with him,
he wakes up.
He coughs. Yeah, and so now she doesn't know what to do. But she says, "Oh, this is a great opportunity because she's a runaway prisoner, but they'll never really look for her if she's got a child." So she keeps the child and she drugs him for the next 2 years so that he will always forget. He'll never quite remember. And he had such a gash on his head during the accident, that's what they thought why he died, that he really had some state of, he knows the difference between right and wrong, and they just don't like it, so they just keep drugging him so that he does what they want him to do. And they slap him around, and they have to change his skin color to make him look like a gypsy. So they put this stain, probably from walnut type of juice, and they dye his hair. But when his hair starts growing out, he's got a real blonde head, and so you can still see the blonde roots there. So when other people see him and they keep forgetting to dye his hair again, they realize that something's odd. Well, this doctor sees this child because they come begging from door to door, and they see this child, and they realize this is not an ordinary child, and neither can this child be theirs. And so this doctor goes to their camp, and he starts to ask questions about it. And they try to kick the doctor out. They don't want him snooping around anymore because they realize they're going to get caught. This doctor has got such a love for the Lord and such a love for children that he goes in there and says, "I'm going to bring the police here immediately if you don't let me take this child." So he takes the child in his arms and takes him out of the camp, and he starts to raise this, falls in love with this child, starts to raise him. And after about a year or two, the child starts to come around, and he starts to remember, wants to know what his past is, but they don't know. So they sent him to a boarding school when he's 16 with one of his stepbrothers, and he's in this school, and everyone loves this kid. And what's really unique about the story is that this child, this 16-year-old, he doesn't see other people the way anyone else sees them. He sees people. He sees the goodness in people, and he's willing to sacrifice himself for the benefit of others. And so, what's unique about the story is that God placed this child in this terrible situation growing up, but all those things are now working for his good because he understands what other people go through in their suffering, and he's just got this tender heart towards suffering in other people, and so he's always reaching out to them. Well, make a long story short, this new boy comes to this boarding school, and his name is Gilbert. And I don't want to tell you too much, but I'll just tell you this, is that Gilbert is his actual brother.
Wow.
Yeah, from the past. And they don't know each other. It's just that these two take a real liking to each other. But Gilbert is a good-for-nothing boy. He's selfish, he's stuck on himself, and all the kids of the school hate him. And no one can understand why Willie takes such an interest in this boy. Of course, it's this blood relative draw to each other. And Gilbert tries to make Willie be all his own. You see, Gilbert has been raised, his father died, by the way, 6 months after the train accident because of a broken heart, losing his son. But he always thought possibly that his son was still alive. In fact, he wrote it in his will only to be opened if the son ever returned. So there's a surprise ending there when they open this. And but the mother, having lost her oldest son, having lost her husband, how do you think she's going to respond? Overprotective, idolizes him, keeps her only son as an idol of her heart. You know, and when we have idols of our heart, it causes us to replace God. It causes us no longer to trust and to have the faith that we need to please God. And so, because of all that she's been through, the difficulties, the death, the loss, all of that created in her a void that she tried to fill herself with her own son. And when you do that, when you try to fill the voids of your heart with other people, it causes you to be very controlling of your life and the life of other people. And so she was always holding on to her son, and as a result, he was always able to manipulate his mother. You know, and when he saw Gilbert, when he saw other people coming into the life of his mother, he would try to move them out.
Right.
He would be disrespectful to them and mean. And even when there was a man that came to court his mother, that didn't last long because he would hear nothing of it, you know, because that's what happens with selfish people. When we have idols of our heart, we want to keep other people out so that we can keep the idols of our heart intact. So here's this selfish boy in this boarding school with Willie, who everyone loves. I mean, Willie is like just an amazing character. And if you've ever read Ishmael, you'll know that Willie, I believe, is as good as Ishmael is a storyline. And Ishmael is my all-time favorite book, along with half a dozen others.
And Willie is the White Gypsy.
Yeah, well, I don't want to give that away too much because that's what they call him. When the gypsies have him, they have a little boy called the Black Gypsy because his skin color is black. And because of Willie's white hair, he's known as the White Gypsy.
Okay.
Okay, so, but there's something that happens in the end about the White Gypsy that I don't want to give away. So here's all these kids that love Willie, hate Gilbert, but Willie loves Gilbert. But Gilbert, being the selfish, idolatrous person that he is looking for opportunities to turn Willie's heart against his best friends, particularly his stepbrother, who he was raised with his doctor. And Willie, as soon as he sees it and senses it, and this is what I love about the book is this: when the other stepbrother sees what's happening, because Willie doesn't see it behind the scenes how Gilbert is treating him. He treats him like dirt. You know, he just makes him feel like he's an idiot and that he's a good for nothing. You know, that because Gilbert comes from a very wealthy family. You know, his mother's very wealthy, and who are you to try to, you know, hone in on my friend, you know, my best friend. And so this is the best part of the book for me is that the stepbrother has to go and he goes and talks to his father, the doctor, and he lets him know, you know, I feel terrible. You know, Willie seems to like this other boy, and you know, he's leaving me out. And the father says, if Willie is who we think he is, who he's always been, always putting others above himself, then give Willie time to prove his love to you, and also to show you that he will love other people who are not worthy of his love, that he'll be willing to do both. And if the other boy proves to not be authentic, you'll find that Willie will turn against him as well, because Willie is an authentic person. You know, and I love that part because it made me think that sometimes when you have a best friend and it seems like they're
kind of like not being your best friend and looking for other friends.
Yeah,
They're like,
it's a kid that just kills you.
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And that's what I love about the story. It really helps the kids who feel like they have been betrayed. It helps them to search their own heart
and see if they were idolizing their friend, making them an idol in their heart.
It's an incredible story.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know when you called me, you're like, this is the best book.
It
It's
is
great. It's really character changing. I was really excited to hear about it.
In many ways, it helped me to see the type of child I was growing up. You know, I was very much like Gilbert, as much as I hate to admit that. You know, I wanted to control my friendships. You know, and if anyone else honed in on my best friends, I wanted them out. You know, and so this is going to be an incredible book for parents and children. I don't want to tell you much more.
Well, that's fine. You don't have to. How about age ranges?